So everyone can. All righty. Hey, everyone. Welcome to day one. We're almost in the books. And if you're in Australia, you've already done day one. So I'll just
Are
share
you
my
doing a
screen.
fast again now also yourself?
Yes, yeah. I started yesterday at 4 p.m. So
Okay.
Sunday. So yes, I'm just chalked up 24 hours.
Just for 24 hours. Okay.
Clocked over now. So my intention is to go until Thursday. I want to go to the gym on Thursday again. I don't want to break my gym habit too much at the moment. So I'm missing Tuesday gym. We went this morning actually, so I didn't really miss tomorrow. So I just did some light weights and stuff today. You just got to watch that a little bit when you're starting to fast, that you don't do heavy weights or anything like that. Yeah, so I felt pretty good after that. And I'll go through until Thursday, and then I'll have something to eat and we'll go to the gym and get back into it. So that will be 4 days, pretty much 4 days.
My goal is Thursday morning now.
Good. Great. That's really great. Yeah, so as we go through this presentation and over the next 2 days, I want to break it down to just look at today's, because there's a bit to it. And then we'll look at tomorrow's, day 2, and then day 3. And obviously it's not, clearly defined, like by 24 hours, this is what's going to be happening. Everybody's very different. And the more you fast, the quicker this process speeds up as well. So you'll find that what we talk about in day 2 in this presentation starts to come into day 1 a little bit more, because you get that transition and that stuff starting to happen already. But let's have a look at day 1.
Okay.
I'll just stay on this presentation rather than do full screen, because otherwise you won't see this. All right, so day 1, we're getting through that first 12-hour period, which often happens if say we're starting on the Monday for the fast, which we've done, it'll be when you actually finished eating yesterday on your Sunday. So whatever time that was, for me it was 4 p.m. And then we move through this first period, which oftentimes is while we're asleep. And it starts happening. Then we move into the 18 hours, which is sort of really the Monday of the fast. We're sort of doing this part, the 18 hours to the 24-hour period. And then, as I said, I'll talk about tomorrow about what happens when we get beyond the first day. So stage 1 will be usually when you're asleep. And so it starts as soon as you finished eating, and it takes a few hours for your food to actually digest. And if you've been doing pre-fast properly, then it's mainly fruits and vegetables. So it doesn't take much for those things just to work its way through your body, your system and stuff. And once you've digested that, then what's happening is, if you're eating a normal diet of that includes carbs, so not on a keto diet. So if you're just eating a normal diet, then what's happening is every time you eat carbs, your liver is converting that to glycogen, and it uses glycogen for the energy. So your day-to-day life is burning up glycogen in your system. So if you're on a keto diet, this doesn't apply, because keto means that you don't have any carbs, or very little carbs. And so what you're relying on is the fat stores in your body to actually convert into energy, which is eventually where we all end up on a fast. So the process is that we're burning off the last part of the glycogen in our liver to then convert across, when we have no more food, into fat burning. So people on keto have a little bit of a head start on us by a day or 2 when it comes to fasting. But the more you fast, the quicker you'll actually use up the glycogen in your liver, particularly if you exercise a little bit on day 1 of a fast. And I don't mean heavy exercise, just mean sort of some light walking or some yoga or something like that. That will use up the glycogen in your liver a lot faster. And then you'll get into the transition period, which I'll talk about a little bit more as we go. So today you should have plenty of energy. You might be starting to get a little bit headachy. And that really period, if you're starting to get headaches, then your body is starting to shift across, or you need more salt and water. So that often can get rid of a headache on day 1 and day 2 and I just did that just before. I can't put salt into normal plain water because it makes me gag. So the way around it for me that I found is actually to put salt, mineral water, because water is already quite salty anyway. So it doesn't, like a bit more salt doesn't really make it that bad.
It's so counterintuitive for me to be adding salt to anything.
I know it is, but
I
salt
know
is
it's
the
correct.
yeah, it's the number one mineral that you must have on a fast. So it dictates most of your body's function. So yes, we talk about potassium and magnesium as being the other two minerals that you need on a fast, but salt is the number one. So you must make sure that you take enough salt into your system while you're fasting. So to make sure that your blood pressure stays normal, that the blood flow is happening, that you're excreting the liquid, like just all those things. It really helps so many different things. So once we get to the 12-hour mark, which might be sort of that early hours of Monday morning, depending on when you've eaten, some maybe up to lunchtime Monday morning, then we start to get a spike in human growth hormone, which is freaking awesome. So it's mainly there so that we don't deplete our muscles on a fast. So as you fast, the last thing that will happen is that you'll start depleting your muscles, like your muscle bulk, because muscles are essential to living, especially back in caveman days when we had to either run after prey or run from prey. We need to make sure that our muscles stayed intact. And pretty much our bodies haven't changed really from that process that used to happen. And back in caveman days, we didn't have a lot of food. There was long periods of time without food. And so the body is very used to fasting. And it's also very used to making sure that the muscles stay intact while we're fasting. So if you've got plenty of fat on your body, like me, then you can fast for long periods of time without touching your muscles. It's actually quite fine. And that's because of human growth hormone. But human growth hormone also really improves your immune function, boosts your metabolism, starts healing your joints, and it really starts creating healthy tissues, particularly in the brains and organs as well, and bone tissue. So this happens just after 12 hours of not eating. So this is why intermittent fasting is a big thing, because you can actually start to have human growth hormone come in every day. If you're fasting or intermittent fasting for, say, 16 hours and only eating for 8, which is a pretty common one. So you're actually getting 4 hours or so of human growth hormone each day, which is very, very healthy. It also is the anti-aging hormone and the main fat burning hormone as well. The HGH, as they call it. So let's have a look at just quickly what's happening. So the longer we go fasting, the more human growth hormone we're actually producing. So that's why longer periods of fasting beyond an intermittent fast is actually really healthy for you, because you're just going to keep creating more and more human growth hormone, which means more healing. So around the 18-hour mark, which is probably about now for most of us, then you're going to be starting to get that depletion in your glycogen. It doesn't last forever. So if you've been a little bit busy today and you've been doing things, then that glycogen store is actually getting less and less. And you're really going to start to notice that. But you never get to, glycogen is also your blood sugars. So if you go and get blood sugars measured, that's the glycogen that you're actually measuring in your insulin levels. So you never actually get to zero on that, because the body starts the liver actually still creates blood sugars. And it comes, funnily enough, from different things on your body. So a lot of if you've got excess proteins that you've taken in, then you'll have a lot of these sorts of things. So tumors, warts, moles, lumps, skin tags, those sorts of things come and they hold protein in them. And so the system right now is actually starting to use all those things. So I had a massive lump on my head that totally disappeared in a 14-day fast. And it was like quite a decent size. Wow. And that completely disappeared now, has never come back. I've got one on my cheek here that's always flattens out when I fast. I sort of know when this process is happening because it gets really flat. So you'll notice those sorts of things. If you go back to eating lots of protein again, and after the fast, they probably will come back. But at the moment, that's your body's using those things. It's pretty amazing.
News to me. I had no idea that, tumors et cetera from excess protein.
Yeah. Yep. So that's why I advocate not having protein powders and things like that. A lot of people, will always mixing up a smoothie with protein powder. It's just sort of the dumb thing without even thinking about it. But unless you're really doing weight training, which Jodie and I actually do, then I would not be having protein powders, because oftentimes your body just doesn't need it. So you're getting enough protein through fruits and vegetables and through meats if you're eating meat. You don't really need massive amounts of protein. It just seems to be a thing these days that people put in their smoothies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just an illustration of what's happening right now. So we started with high insulin levels. So that's the glycogen in the liver, and ketones, which is what's produced when we burn fat in the body, is quite low. And this is on a normal diet. This is not a ketone diet, a keto diet. So in the fed state, we've got high insulin because we've taken amount of food in. It automatically converts to insulin. And at some point, because we're not eating anymore, it's actually going to get down quite low. And our ketones are going to start coming up because the body's now switching over into burning fat instead of burning blood sugars, because we don't have any food anymore. So this is the switching point, and it's the transition period, which normally happens about 24 hours to 36 hours. So it'll start happening now. And if you're feeling a headache and you're feeling quite low in energy, that's what's happening. So your insulin, your blood sugars are starting to dip, but we don't have enough. I'll bring her back in.
So after we get through that switch point, should we start feeling better?
Yep, you'll feel 100% better once we get through this point. So this is the ugly part of a fast. So you'll feel good to start off with, then you'll get to a really horrible period, and it can last for however long. But the faster this process happens, the better. And then we start to feel really good, because the body loves operating on ketones. So it doesn't matter that there's not much insulin happening anymore. It's fine. It's converted over to burning fat. It thrives on that. The brain loves it. You'll feel really good and really clear thoughts. You won't be hungry anymore because ketones is an appetite suppressant. So you're actually going to feel really great on here. So this is what's happening in the switching period. But we have to get through the switching period, and that's the hard part. So before that, or during that process, you're going to feel hungry at times. You're going to feel low in energy. You're going to have a bit of brain fog happening, and you might be quite moody as well. I get a little bit aggro at times. I just notice that my patience really runs out when I start on a fast. But that does actually get better as you go as well. So because both things here are low at this stage, so you've got insulin dipping and you've got ketones haven't come up yet, that's both of them are low. And so you really are going to be quite feeling a little bit sluggish at that point. It's not a time you would want to go for a run or do anything a bit shitty. And you're going to feel the hungriest, because the hunger hormone, which is ghrelin, which normally stimulates your appetite. So it rises and falls each day. So either because you haven't eaten, or because it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and you normally have lunch then, it will normally come up. And that's what makes us hungry. So we go, oh, I haven't eaten for a couple of hours. I'm really hungry now. I'll have to go and eat. So that's what's normally going to happen. But of course, it doesn't know that you're fasting at this stage. So it's going to come up, and it's going to come in. And so we've experienced this many times before, where, say, we were working or we're on a flight or something was happening and we couldn't get to food. So we feel really hungry, and then all of a sudden you notice it again, it's not even there anymore. And so you sort of get through that process of, because what's happened is the hormones come up, ghrelin has come up, it's gone, feed me, feed me, feed me. Oh, there's no food. Okay, I'll disappear for a while. And so it goes. And so once the hormone drops again, you're not hungry anymore. So it's going to pop up a couple of times during this period to go, hi, I'm here. I'm still hungry. You haven't eaten yet. And then eventually it's going to just dissipate. It's going to disappear. And it's not only the hormone falling as we go. So this is the ghrelin pretty much falling as we increase our time of fasting, but we're also moving across to having ketones. So our body's starting to create more ketones, which is an appetite suppressant. So you have both things happening at the same time. And then eventually, when this one's high and this one's low, then eventually we're not hungry anymore on a fast. And that's when you feel like you keep fasting forever, because it just is nothing anymore.
I can't
So,
remember if I told you or not, but I did do a fast, a 3-day fast, as I recall, just by myself many years ago. And I kind of quit eating one day and didn't eat for 3 days. But what
yeah,
you're describing as far as the hunger thing is exactly what I remember. Like by late in the second day, I started, oh, I'm not so hungry.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's good to know what's going on in your body at this time, and the transition that's going on, because it helps you get through it. You realize that
Exactly.
hunger
This
hormones
explains
come
it.
up, it's going to go again, just like it always does. Whenever you don't eat, when you're hungry, it will go again. And then you suddenly, hours later, you think, oh crap, I didn't eat. I forgot about that. I'm not even hungry now. Just get beyond it. So it's just that. So I think keep that in mind. If you really do get quite hungry, make sure you fill up with some water, because that is a massive appetite suppressant. And oftentimes the body is actually just thirsty rather than hungry. So if we can satisfy that in the first place, and then that will help quell it as well as you go through, while you go through this process of transition. But just keeping in mind, if it raises its ugly head, it's going to go shortly. In the next 20 minutes, it will be gone again and you'll feel fine again. So you just have to get through it. So it is a little bit of a suck up this period, this transition period. But when you know what's happening, it makes it a little bit easier, I think.
Yes, it does. For me, it does.
So,
But to understand what's going on, yes.
Yeah, I think so too, just the science behind it. So as I said, the switching point can happen between, the first day and the first day and a half. But if you've been fasting quite a number of times before, like you have, Lisa, and I have as well, you'll probably notice it in the first day. So I feel like I'm going through this process right now. I've got that, I know that headache that I get, that real sort of migraine-y neck ache that comes from it. So that to me signifies that I'm going through that transition period right now. And I've had it for quite a few hours, this headache. So it's, and as I said, I've just hit 24 hours now. So it probably started at the 20-hour mark, something like that. So however long it takes now to go through it, again, that process will speed up. Your body knows when it's going back into fasting again, if it's been doing it quite regularly. So it's like, oh, we're back to that state again. Okay, cool. I know now to produce ketones. I have to get on with that job. So it will do it a lot faster. So it does get easier. The more you fast, that's why we talk about building up your fasting muscle. It gets easier and easier each time you fast. So the first fast is always the hardest to get through. So I won't go on any more, because that's sort of what happens on day one. I just want to contain it today so that you can focus on what's happening today. Tomorrow we'll talk about what's happening in day two. So there's a lot of things start kicking up in day two. Good things. The body is really starting to heal itself in day two. So at the moment, it's just focused on switching over fuel sources. And there was a few good things happening with the human growth hormone, but day 2 and day 3 really start to kick it up a notch. So once we get into that, this high ketone state. So just a little quick reminder of things that you could be doing today. Don't forget about your daily rituals. So the body will be releasing a lot of toxins right now. It's very, very efficient at doing that on a fast. It's the first thing it wants to do, is get rid of all the toxins that are in your body. So you need to make sure that you're getting rid of them. So the body is capable of getting rid of them, but we just want to give it a little bit of a hand where we can. Nothing too out there. But it's doing it through respiration is one of the main ones. So breathing, perspiration, urination, and defecation. So let's just quickly whip through some of the rituals that you could be doing before we do that. Weighing in. So totally up to you if you like to do this. I do, because I think it's a nice little mood booster in the mornings to see how much I lost the day before on a fast. And because it is so quick at coming off, it's really quite amazing. And you've already been doing that, Daryl. You've experienced.
Yeah, it was quite an uplift. Yesterday morning and this morning both. Like yesterday 3 pounds, and this morning 3 more. It's like, oh my god, this is great.
Yeah. So while it's not all just about losing weight, it is about healing the body. It's such a nice thing to, if you're feeling a little bit like, oh crap, like I can't eat, I'm just hungry, I'm headachy, I'm this, that, and the other.
Losing weight was not my main first motivation to do this, but it's certainly a nice side bit of it, because I certainly have some pounds to lose.
Yeah, who doesn't? So yeah, it is a nice little mood booster. So I would recommend doing it. But I know some people in the group are not into that, and that's perfectly fine. You've got to do what you feels true for you. The water, obviously the most important thing on the fast, the thing that's keeping you alive. So I've got here 1 liter for every 22 kilos or 48 pounds.
Oh, I misread that.
That's a lot.
That was what I read 1 liter for every 22 pounds. That's
Yeah.
why I was talking about 8 liters.
Yeah. It's a lot of water.
This is
And if
better.
you're
Okay.
not used to drinking that much water,
No,
then it's going to be, your body eventually gets used to taking in more water. So to do 6 liters or 7 liters is actually not a big deal in the end. But I think it goes on your weather, how active you want to be, and just a whole host of things. But just make sure you're having enough. It is actually possible to dehydrate and be dehydrated on a fast. So you just really do need to make sure that you're getting enough water in, because the other thing about water is it's helping the detox process. So if you're feeling really headachy, having a liter of water can make you feel much better, because it's just starting to flush the toxins out. So if you're feeling toxic in the body, make sure you get some more water in there so that you can flush that out. So that's the most important thing.
it's very logical to me.
Yeah. Don't drink tap water. Try and have, this is the only thing you're having right now. So you don't want your body trying to deal with, more crap that's in the water, tap water generally, even in good countries. Try and do bottled water or filtered water. And if you're going to fast more often, then investing in a really good water filter is probably a great thing, which is what we've done. And I've got here chew water because when you're fasting, obviously you're not chewing anymore, and the chewing action actually helps distribute minerals and bits and pieces that are in the water to the different parts of the body that it needs to go to.
Back in a moment.
Yep. You're off to the loo.
Exactly.
regular problem.
Yeah.
So electrolytes, most important things. So this really is the difference between a safe fast and a dangerous fast. So when I was doing my fast in Canada, the first 5-day fast I didn't do anything. I was just a bit like Daryl's, like, tomorrow I'm just going to stop eating for 5 days. So I didn't take in any electrolytes, and I suffered through the entire thing. It was really shit, but it was actually probably really dangerous as well to go that long without having any electrolytes, not even any salt. So salt definitely is the number one, and then we also need potassium and magnesium. So they're going to help maintain the body's fluid balance, the muscles and the nerve function, the blood pressure. So there's about 14 different essential minerals for the body. But when you look at the other ones, they're not essential every single day. Like if you missed 2 or 3 days of not having them, you're not going to collapse. Like it's like calcium, for example. If you don't have calcium for 3 days, you're not going to, like, your bones are not going to break. So, but the 3 ones that are really important are these ones: sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And so you need to make sure that you're taking in quite a bit. And you can see that sodium actually is quite high. So table salt, or any type of salt you like, but things like, some people say that Himalayan salt is really good. Celtic sea salt is exceptional sort of salt. It's probably about the best salt you can get. And then you get down to the table salts, which have iodine in them, so that's good. One of the essential minerals is iodine for the body. But it's up to you, totally up to you what sort of salt that you take in. And I just do Himalayan salt myself. And I find trying to take it in, I can't put it into a normal glass of water. Salty water makes you gag a bit, and it does for a lot of people. So putting it into mineral water is a really good option to get salt in. The other way to get it in is in your vegetable broth. So if you are doing vegetable broth on days of fasting, then you can really amp up the amount of salt that you put into that, and that can be taste nice, but it also is a good way of getting it in. So if you're experiencing any of these things, then this can be a really good table to check out and come back to to see, okay, where might I be lacking, sort of thing. So if you're feeling really fatigued and headachy, as I said, I had a headache before, I've still got it, but I did take some salt in and I felt actually better. If you're feeling a bit of confusion, difficulty concentrating, you might want to up your salt intake. If you're feeling muscle spasms and muscle cramps, and then definitely potassium and magnesium are great for that sort of thing. If you're feeling a bit anxious or a bit depressed, magnesium. So the ways to get these in: sodium, straight table salt, have it in mineral water, put in your broth. Potassium is a really difficult one to get in tablet form, because every single tablet supplement that I've seen so far is nothing more than about 2% of your daily intake. So to me,
it makes no sense to even have it.
Not even quite bother having it or buying it. So you've got to find it in other ways. I would then have vegetable broth, and that's why we put the lentils in the vegetable broth when we cook it. And we don't eat them, but we cook it in that, because some of the potassium, they're quite high in potassium, and it will start leaching out. So
my broth is cooling now, so
some in the broth. Yeah.
My broth is cooling now.
Oh, nice. Good one. Yeah, so that's a good one to have. I think, if you were just going for a 2 or 3 day fast, not having massive amounts of potassium is fine. If you were going for a longer fast, that's where I would start to introduce things like maybe sucking on an orange or having orange juice in water. I've done my longer fasts, I've done that, because they're very high in potassium. So that's a really good way of getting. Obviously, that's going to take you out of a fast in terms of insulin, because they're high in sugar, so they'll bring your insulin levels up, but it should only bring it up for a short period of time, and then it'll drop back down again and you'll be fine. So you don't want too many. You just got to balance these things out depending on how long you're fasting for. If you're going longer, you have to really start looking at some of these other things, and working some of these other rituals and hacks, to make sure you're getting enough stuff the body needs, as well as balancing, also not getting out of fasting too much. So it's a bit more of a game. But and then magnesium, just get a magnesium tablet. So I use
potassium.
I have magnesium glycinate. So glycinate is the carrier, and so you can get all types of magnesium tablets. I mean, magnesium calcitrate and calcitrate and all this sort of stuff. So the words on the end are the carrier, and it doesn't really matter which one you get, because they're all pretty much got as much potassium, magnesium as you need for each day. But the glycinate is a little bit more gentle on the stomach. So if you're not eating, then you might find magnesium glycinate a little bit easier for you, and a bit more gentle. You don't feel nauseous with it. So if you're going to have magnesium and you're feeling a bit nauseous, you'd probably want to have some broth with, so you've just got a little bit of something in your stomach. But if not, the other way around it, and this goes for taking any medications while you're on a fast, if you need to have food with that medication, you can still have it. But what you would do is get a glass of water and put a teaspoon of chia seeds in it, and let it sit there for half an hour until they swell up and they make like a gel-like substance, and then drink that down, have your tablet, and then it'll layer your stomach to have your magnesium or potassium. Well, you're not taking potassium tablets, but have your magnesium tablet or the other tablets you might be on for whatever you're on them for. So you can still take your tablets on a fast if you need
Are
them.
kiwis really high in sugar too, or no?
Kiwis are high in sugar, but they're also high in potassium.
Right. That's
So I'll come back to that in a tick, because I talk about that just a little bit down here. So the other must-haves, obviously salt we just talked about. I take vitamin B. I take that anyway because I don't eat meat, and so without eating meat, I can't get vitamin B12. So I have a vitamin B tablet every day. But if you're a little bit low on energy, you might want to have a B vitamin as well. That will help just boost you up a little bit more. And yeah, so that's that. So some of the other ways, totally up to you whether you do these or not. Some of the other ways you can get toxins out is often when you wake up in the morning, you've got a mouthful of toxins, particularly if you're detoxing on a fast. And so rather than drinking water straight down, which is normally what we first do, we wake up and think, oh, I'm really thirsty, I'll take a drink. Don't do that. particularly on a fast, make sure that you clean your mouth out first, because it's full of toxins. You don't want them going back into your gut. So you can either do oil pulling, which is just taking not quite a tablespoon of coconut oil, squishing it around in your mouth for 20 minutes, and it'll actually pull the toxins out of your mouth, not just the ones that are swimming around on the surface of things. It'll actually draw it out, and then you spit that out. And then do a really good rinse, and then your mouth will be 100% clean. But if you're not going to do,
I'm sorry, to do all the time, even when you're not fasting.
You can do this ritual. It's a very good ritual to be doing on a regular basis. Do it once a week or something like that, because the mouth contains a lot of toxins. Your tongue is, if you look at your tongue now when you're on a fast, you'll see it's pretty white or yellow or even a blackish color. So it has a coating on it because you're detoxing so much. So you want to try and get those out of your mouth as much as possible. So you might find that you clean your teeth a couple of times a day. If you've got they call them water pickers. So they're just a container of water, and it's got a little nozzle thing, and it's a really high pressurized water jet, which is really for flossing your teeth. But I use it on my tongue when I'm doing water fast. So it's a great way of cleaning the tongue and cleaning around the mouth and stuff. So whichever way you do it, whether you do oil pulling or you just clean your teeth, if you just got a toothbrush and toothpaste, then just clean your tongue with that as well, and then spit it out. So just getting those toxins out as much as possible. Here's one of my favorites that everyone hates: enemas. So if you're feeling really headachy on a fast, then this is a great way of getting rid of it. I probably should do one myself right now. A great way of feeling better, because it's going to pull the toxins out really quickly from your system. So, and it's not a bad way. I always feel that, particularly on a longer fast, obviously your digestive system slows right down because you haven't got anything going into it anymore. So the body will still, like, you might find after a couple of days you're still going to the toilet, but you're still going to have a lot of stuff in your system as well. And if you want to get that out and not have it sit there in your system while you're fasting, then an enema is the way to do that. So it will pull everything out. And yeah, it does actually make you feel better. Like, I instantly feel better after I've done an enema. If I felt really toxic and really headachy, then that will help. So entirely up to you whether you do it or not. This sort of setup is a great one. It's just a hot water bottle. You buy it like this, the full kit. It's just got the hose, you hang it up. It's just gravity fed. But if you do want to do an enema and you're not sure how to do it, I do actually have a video of me doing one, not a full demonstration, obviously, I was clothed. But there is one in the members area. So if you do want to find out more about enemas and what's involved, then you can go to that lesson inside the membership that you've all got access to. And I'll explain the whole thing to you. So, but I'm a big advocate of enemas, and you can do them at any time. So if you're feeling a bit sluggish in your system, or you've been eating out a lot, or partying or drinking or whatever you've been doing, then an enema can be a nice way just to reset, a real good reset. This is one of my favorite ones, is bentonite clay. I did this last night in the shower. So clay is great for pulling out impurities from your body. And you can also drink them. So you want a food grade version of bentonite clay. So it's like a volcanic ash, basically. And you drink it down, it mixes with water reasonably well. It's pretty gritty. And so you want to have a couple of swizzles of water afterwards. But it's a great way of pulling toxins out, particularly from the brain. So if you've got plaque buildup, or you have, say, things like Alzheimer's and dementia in your family, then it can be a great way, because plaque is one of the #1 causes of Alzheimer's and dementia. Bentonite clay, and again, you can do this whether you're on a fast or not on a fast. It can actually start pulling out some of those toxins and that plaque from the brain, and pulling it through your system as well. So this is a great way of doing it. So you can just buy bentonite clay on Amazon, make sure it's food grade. And there's different types of clay, but I use bentonite, and just have it each day on your fast. But again, this is a great great ritual to do when you're fasting. This is the one that I did last night in the shower, and this is called Gusher, and it's an ancient Ayurvedic way to clean the skin. So a lot of toxins and a lot of buildup and a lot of bacteria sit on the skin, and this is a great way of actually getting rid of all of that. So it is going to take the good bacteria off your skin as well, so be warned, you don't want to do it all the time, but this is great on a fast because the body or the skin needs to breathe, and it's one way it releases toxins is by breathing. So it's just a simple mix of bicarb soda and vodka. Unfortunately, you have to use your vodka for it, but mixing it into a paste. And then you would have a shower, get wet, stop the water, wash yourself down with this paste, put it all over, and just, it's like a scrub. So you just scrub it on and then just rinse it off. That's it. You can put it on your face, you can put it everywhere. It has got alcohol in it, so it's a little bit drying. Sorry.
Just put it on with your hands or with a...
Yep. Yeah, just with your hands. Yeah, I would find that easier. Some people say put it on with a, one of those washcloth things, but I wouldn't do that. Just use your hands because it's already.
How long after putting it on before you should get in the shower?
You would get in the shower, wet yourself down, then turn it off, turn the water off, put it on your body, and I would do your sensitive areas.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're wet, so your skin is wet, and then put it on the sensitive areas last, so that it's not on so long, like your face. And then just put the water on, wash it straight off. That's it.
Yeah.
So I would do this in the first day to 3 days of fasting. And if you're going to go longer, I would spread it out a little bit longer after that because it can be a bit drying on the skin. And then, but this is, again, a great one you could do once a week because I will guarantee it will make your skin feel the most cleanest it is ever felt, ever. It is incredible. You feel so different once you've done this. Again, if you're feeling really toxic and on a fast, this is a great way to feel spruced up. It'll make you feel much, much better. And it actually feel like your skin's breathing.
Rubbing at all or rubbing and just put it on?
Just a little bit. You don't want to rub too much with it. I just put it on. So it's just the pasty stuff by then. You want to get it to a consistency where, again, there's a video actually of how to make it in the membership. But yes, I just pour as much bicarb in that I want in a jar. Make sure it's a sealable jar because it's got alcohol in it, so it will start to evaporate. So you want a sealed jar, put in your level of bicarb, and you want sort of maybe this much in a jar at least, and then pour your vodka on top. And then just keep mixing it backwards and forwards until you get that real paste-like consistency. You don't want it too runny because then it's going to just run off your body. And you don't want it too firm because then you can't massage it in. So you'll know, like you'll get an idea of where it is. And then, yeah, I just put it on. You just like simply go like this and then that's it. It's like no more than that. Like it doesn't take much at all. But you can put it everywhere. No problem. Some people put it on their scalp. I don't do that, but you can do that. But yes, it's
My
great.
head's dry.
Hey,
I said my head is already dry. So my scalp is always so dry.
yeah,
But I was gonna say baking soda does it like as soon as you put any kind of liquid on it, it goes to work. Like you don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
it does it.
It does. Yeah. So the mix of those two things, yeah, you're right. The baking soda or bicarb soda is actually really good.
And the vodka is alcohol, and so it's disinfecting. Yeah. Like they go to work right away.
They do. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't need any rubbing as such because just the property of themselves are actually doing what it needs to do.
It's contact.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes. But again, it's going to kill all the bacteria on your skin, and you do have good bacteria on your skin that's necessary as well. So you don't want to do it too often, but it is great for just cleaning all the crap off your skin, particularly in a fast when you're detoxing. Where's lost my mouse. Where's it gone? It's frozen.
You have 4% battery juice.
Maybe it's that. Let me just plug it. Be that.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, where it's gone. All right, so movement when you're fasting. So it's not about heavy exercise. You won't be able to do heavy exercise anyway, because once the body shifts over to using fat, it's a very slow burning fuel. So the body can't do massive amounts of weights or big runs or anything like that. Anything that needs, where the muscles need instant fuel, it's not going to be good enough for. So, and plus you don't want to, because the whole idea of fasting is actually to rest the body. So the more that you tear muscles or, go into full exercise mode, the more the body actually has to heal those things from those sessions. And you want it to actually be healing other things in the body now. So you don't want to be expending too much energy. But it does, on the flip side, pay to do some movement, because often we hold toxins in our joints and in our muscles and things like that. So it's great to be able to move some of those things and get it going. So I would suggest things like Tai Chi, yoga, swimming, walking, those sorts of things that are just going to get the body moving, and the heart rate. You don't want to get your heart rate up too much on a fast either. So, but do something each day, because you will feel better as well. It's a mood enhancer as well, so it will feel better. Relaxing and sleeping, just like I said, the body needs a break every now and then, and a fast is a fantastic time to do that. So give it some time. Don't schedule massive amounts of things when you're fasting. Like, try and take a bit of time out just to sit and ponder, not even sitting there watching TV or on your phone or anything like that. Just sit. I did that yesterday afternoon. I just laid on the lounge. I didn't have anything stimulus going on around me. It was just quiet. I just laid there and just pondered things. So it's a really good time to do that and take some time out of life. And then a few of the hacks, which I do go into a lot more in the course. So please go and visit that. I think it's called Happy Fasting, that module. But these are more to help you cope mentally on a fast. So they're not necessarily for your physical well-being. They're more for your mental well-being. If you're really struggling on a fast, you can do some of these things. And this is probably where you saw this, Daryl, in terms of the kiwi cucumber is a really good way. You can put that into infused water. So either you have a jug that is an infused water jug, which has got a little siphon thing down the middle of it, and you drop all the stuff in there and it just oozes out. It's got gaps in it. Or just drop it straight into water, into a jug, no problems. But obviously don't eat it, take it out. But things like cucumber to a lesser extent, but kiwi definitely does have sugar in it. So it's going to leach out into the water. So don't have massive amounts of this. This is just a one-off glass in the afternoon when you're feeling like you need it. Okay. Mineral water is great for salts, getting more salts into your system. And I wouldn't do this on a shorter fast, but if you were doing a longer fast, then doing something like an orange in water is a really good way of getting more potassium into your system. So on a shorter fast, you should be fine with just having mineral water, but maybe do the infused water if you're really struggling and you need to do something else. Veggie broth is a great way of getting those salts into your system and the potassium into your system, and also magnesium. And if you really feel psychologically like you need that, to have something at night, say, dinner at night, or I would always say to Jodie, I'm having dinner now at 6 o'clock, time to have dinner. So it is a really nice mental boost to know that you can have that each day. You might have it at lunchtime instead. It's up to you, whatever you like. Just have a cup or two of veggie broth. It's not going to be enough to really get you out of a fast. You wouldn't want only to drink veggie broth, but if you only have a glass or two or a mug or two each day, then that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But I find now I don't bother about it on a shorter fast. I don't worry about, even on a longer fast. I did 9 days about 2 months ago, and I didn't even bother making it, to be honest. I just stayed on water. So I think you get better at fasting and you don't need a lot of these hacks anymore. You just sort of go, I'd rather just have plain water and just stick to being that real purist in fasting. But if you need to do that, then that's fine. This would be absolutely last resort, would be doing juice blocks. I did it on a longer fast of my first longest fast that I was doing, which was 21 days. I did the watermelon. So I just pour watermelon juice into an ice block tray, and I would just suck on like 1 or 2 of those. So again, just flavor difference, a little bit of sugar in, it just felt better. But on a shorter fast, I definitely would not be doing those because they do contain a lot of sugar, and they'll get you out of a fast pretty quick. So that's it. That's what I had today. And then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll look at day 2, as I said. I've still lost my mouse. Where's it gone? I don't even know how to get that.
Is there another window back there?
No. I don't know what's going on. I can't even stop the sharing. So I literally can't do anything else. I can't even stop the call. That's hilarious. Right. Oops. All right. Okay. Back there.
I see something happening.
You do. Oh, that's me. Changing that. Holy cow. How bizarre. I've not had this happen before. It does need an update. It's screaming for an update. So it's probably that. It starts to really play out.
You're hilarious.
Updates.
That's hilarious.
Right. Well, there you go. That was today. If I can possibly finish the Zoom call. I don't know how.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful.
I might have to shut the computer down.
Yeah.
Finish it off. Okay. Well, there you go. Yes. Did you have any questions or anything before we head off?
All I could say is I've been here since the beginning, and I hear you talk about this stuff all the time. But I have to admit, like, this is the first time I've had this like rumored quote unquote headache. I was like, no, but it's like, I think especially you haven't been fasting and you come back, it's like, it's good to hear all this stuff again, to get it back in the forefront of your mind, because you get into this thing where it's like, I know what to do. And I was like, oh, you know what? I haven't had any salt. And where do I get the potassium again? Because I didn't make any soup and all this kind of stuff. I was like, oh, yeah, right. So that's helpful.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you came today, because I think we all need a little bit of a revision after a month or two going about life and then forgetting about fasting. That's good to refresh, even for me. Yeah, totally. That's good.
Go over and be like, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. Let's skip to the.
Oh, we lost her a bit. Oh. No.
So she's frozen up.
It's not going so good. How's any questions, Daryl?
No, not the one. I think I already asked most of my questions. Like, think about it now. So
good. You're doing good.
Thank you very much. Until tomorrow.
Yes, until tomorrow. Tomorrow we really kick it up a notch. So tomorrow is definitely worth coming to and seeing what's going on inside, because it's really
I'll plan to be here tomorrow, but I have a medical appointment at this time on Wednesday. So
okay. Yeah, definitely come tomorrow, because we'll have a good chat tomorrow about what's happening. It is very cool.
Let me see. Maybe I was thinking this was supposed to be at 1 o'clock. Oh yeah, Wednesday. My appointment's at 1, not 3, so I should be all right.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yay. You'll be on the downhill slide from there. You'll be like, yeah, I can do this. It's easy.
Yeah, it'll be nothing.
I'd like to think
3 is great.
I'd like to think when Wednesday evening or Thursday morning comes that I'm going to be, I think I'll go a couple more days. But
I know. Yeah, a lot of people do that. They sort of go, oh, I'm going to do 2 days, then they get to that and they start to feel really good, and it's like, oh, I can push it to 3, and then it's like, oh, I can go 4 or 5. Yeah, it's good if you can do that. The longer
I'll
you
remain open to it.
Hey?
I'll remain open to it for sure.
I think that's the way to enter a fast, is remain open rather than like, these are my set days, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
Unless you've got a reason to finish, which I sort of feel like I do this time because I want to get back to the gym. But if not, just stay open to it, because the more the longer you go now, like you've got through the hard part. That's the thing. It's like, keep going if you can, and there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Then do that, because the body really starts kicking up more and more notches in terms of healing the longer you go. So if you get up to 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, your body is doing some amazing healing that it would never have done before without fasting. It just doesn't have that possibility of being able to heal like that, because we keep putting food into it. So the body is either digesting that food or it's healing. And so the more you put food into it, the more it has to digest, and it doesn't have time for healing. So to get to this stage of cutting out food altogether and really getting into the healing stage, it's like maximize it as much as possible. That was my first thoughts when I started fasting. I was like, I'm going to keep going, because this is my only chance to heal. Like, I do intermittent fasting, so it is healing, doing some healing each day for sure. Like, we started to see that human growth hormone kicks in after 12.
I try to do at least 14 hours almost every day.
That's great. Yeah, like that's a good chunk of healing in the first place each day. But to do, once you get to that 24-hour period about now of the fast, this is where we leave intermittent fasting for dead. And now we start to really get into the healing benefits of an extended fast. And it's just the things that the body never gets to do. Right. It never gets to clean out all these things. It never creates, massive amounts of stem cells that can heal the body, to heal proper inflammation, to really reduce the risk of cancer. By the time we get to 3 days, we're getting to the level of reducing cancers, and avoiding cancers, and getting into longevity and things like that. It doesn't take long. I think that's the thing. You don't have to go for a 14-day fast to get into these realms of these things. It only takes 3 or 4 days, and then we're into that. So it's pretty amazing once you start to see what goes on in the next 2 days. And it can be an incentive to keep going. It's like, wow, I really can heal some pretty major stuff and feel better. That's the other thing too, is you feel better. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to have to shut this computer down to end the call. I don't even know how I'm going to do that, because I don't even know how to shut the computer down without the mouse. So there you go.
Do the power button and just hold it.
Yeah,
and it'll shut down.
All right. Okay. Well, that's it. That's me doing that.
Thanks, Jodie.
Okay, no worries. Thank you for coming. Hopefully see you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. You're probably still there. You're still there. For shit's sake. Right. I'm switching off completely. Goodbye.